How's the team reacted, obviously, since the South loss? You mentioned that they got a hard week coming up for them. What's the reaction been like from the players?
Well, they've handled it pretty well. We're all disappointed, of our performance v South. And when you're disappointed about your performance and you have a bye coming up, it can be a long week. But we got some good training in. We addressed what happened in that game, and and this week's been good as well. So no excuses. We go into another home game at Crogger. Pretty excited about it.
Last time you guys played Melbourne, you created history, beat them in Melbourne. Has that been discussed at all?
Oh, look, it's we know what happened last year, and we probably spoke about that it's possible. You go down there and beat Melbourne in Melbourne. It's not an easy task, but we don't get a head start. We don't get points regarding that performance last year. We need to start again, and we haven't started the season the way we expected. So there's no better test to come up against Melbourne. Our backs against the wall, and we'll be having that sort of attitude tomorrow.
Is it good? Because there's also been some drama with France and bowlers. Is it good to get that out of the way?
Yeah, it's good to get it out of the way as a club, and it hasn't affected the playing group, but we've just had to get on with it. You have these things, you have players' injury. We've had the Ryan Couchman ACL, which was disappointing round one. Young front rower, in a similar position. So we've had to overcome a few little hurdles there, but really looking forward to tomorrow.
Speaking of one of those young front rowers getting the chances, Dylan Egan, another Gerringong young boy. There'll be 3 Gerringong juniors playing
tomorrow. Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about his development?
Yeah, well, he's a Gerringong boy, and he's come through our pathway system, and Dill's just all effort. The players love playing with him. They love training with him because he gives 100% every time he comes out there, and everyone's excited to have him in the team because they know exactly what they're going to get.
Dragons, every time a player comes on the market, the Dragons always, their name gets thrown up. Can you tell me about DC? Obviously, Atkinson's coming next season, so what's the likelihood of...
Look, I'm good mates with Daly, my time at Manly. He's a fantastic player. He'd be an asset to 15 or 16, 17 clubs, but I don't see him being at the Dragons. We're committed to Daniel Atkinson. We're quite excited to have him at the club. We've got some current halves here at the moment, and we're looking at some other positions to strengthen next year. And if Daly's got my number, he'd ring me, but I don't see that happening.
You mentioned the current halves. Obviously, Lachlan came under some criticism from yourself afterwards. How's he reacted, and what are you expecting from him moving forward?
He's had a really good training week. It wasn't just Lockie, it was a lot of players in the team, and obviously I was frustrated about our performance, the whole team's performance, and Lockie knows, Kyle knows, our senior players know that someone's got to take responsibility. I've got to take responsibility for it. We've got to be held accountable when we don't perform up to standard, and we'll move forward. We learnt from it. It's early days. I've only played 2 games, so we've got to learn from that and make sure it doesn't happen again.
And how long, realistically, can you give this new spine that you've introduced, it is a new spine, to gel? Because if you lose too many games, it becomes hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I'm not worrying about how many games we lose. I'm looking at how many games we win. They're my best spine yesterday. They're my best spine today, and they'll be my best spine tomorrow. So we'll just keep moving on. It's a long season, and they showed what they could do in the trials. They showed me what they could do in the off season. So I've got all faith in those boys getting the job done. We're looking at some really experienced players there. Origin players. Gutho and Cookie are really experienced players there. But it hasn't come together just as yet for us. But not just those players have got to deliver.
And what is it going to take to beat Melbourne? Obviously, they're the favourites along with the Panthers.
Yeah, well, you saw last night what it's got to take. A committed football team to go out there and compete for 80 minutes, and that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. We've got our backs against the wall, and we need to win.
Any changes to the team? Any late changes? Or?
No, everyone's fit, ready to go.
Anything else you want to add? You want to say?
No. See you at Cogra tomorrow.